Well, here we are, our first ever live video podcast. Exciting world we live in, isn't it? Final score, Wrexham 2, Barrow 1, as Wrexham start off the season in the perfect manner. I'm Mark Griffiths. You're Lucy Scott. Don't know whoever that guy is. That's James Harrison. And we're here to give you, like I said, our first ever live podcast. They will still be available in audio fashion as well. And we're able to go back to our old system as well of me waffling on for about 5 minutes about what happened in the game before the interesting people kick in and start giving some opinion on it. But big win for Wrexham. Real result for them. Because it's the first time we've won on the first day of the season at home since 2014 when we beat Welling. That's 2014 BC, before Carrington. Also, our first win over Barrow since, remember, Barroween. So that was 2015. In fact, we equalled our longest run without a win against Barrow, but thankfully we didn't exceed it. So 7 games without a win against Barrow before today, and a lot of it was down to a spectacular debut by JJ Hooper, the first Wrexham player to score on his debut since
Carrington.
Oh, please.
Scott Quigley?
Oh, nice idea.
Quigley, yeah.
Tollis.
Tollis,
unboxing day. So, okay, quiz over, stats over. Let's have a think about what happened in the match then. A big question before the game: would Wrexham play 3 at the back or 4 at the back? Well, they did go for the 4. It's a 4-2-3-1 though, rather than the 4-3-3 we're normally used to. 3 debuts, and as Lucy pointed out, it was the attacking element of the side that was new. Familiar keeper, even though it wasn't Rob Lainton. Christian Dibble, of course, playing in Lainton's absence. Familiar back 4. Midfield of Summerfield and Young, and Grant as well on the right, but the other creative players, attackers, Devontae Redmond in the hole, left-hand side Mark Harris and JJ Hooper up front, all making their debuts. And it was a sign of attacking intent, and for the first 10 minutes Wrexham moved the ball around well, looked positive and looked the better side, but then Barrow started to make chances and Wrexham fell behind. Just before that happened, Wrexham were a little lucky. Summerfield seemed to be pulled back on the halfway line, no foul was given. And so Rooney came driving forwards with a good little angled pass to find Barrow's best player, Dion Angus, one-on-one with the keeper, cutting in from the right. He drove in a powerful shot from 10 yards, and Pearson did well, lunging in front of Dibble to push it behind on the block for the corner. But 3 minutes later, Wrexham were punished. 14th minute, a free kick on the left-hand side. Now, Wrexham were already by this point building up a bit of a grudge against the referee. He gave a number of dubious decisions. I must have said throughout the match he gave a number of dubious decisions in either side's advantage. This one, it was a free kick against Grant, who had really worked very hard in the first 15 minutes, winning the ball back, if not having much impact going forwards. He slid in and was judged to have clipped Brough. The free kick was given, level the edge area. Grant was incandescent, saying he put it out for a throw-in. The ball was ripped in superbly by Hardcastle. Excellent delivery, and the skipper Josh Granit got it in the near post, lost his man. Really good flick header, and it went across Dibble, who was helpless, and into the bottom right corner, and Barrow were ahead, and Wrexham struggled to respond from that. And although in the end, in the middle of the half, they started to create and had a decent little spell. Redmond, who had been pretty peripheral up until that point, starts to just show a couple of little touches in the hole. By the end of the half, they were lucky to only be 1 goal down. Wrexham did make some half chances, and there was a controversial moment just before the 20th minute mark, which could have seen Barrow reduced to 10 men. A free kick, ball played in, off the ball, Jason Taylor appeared to hit Carrington, who went down. Carrington, not a player who makes a drama of things. The referee was very close to the instant, but apparently didn't see it, or thought it was harmless. Carried on, and nothing was given. But it'd be fun to look at with the replays, that. And then Wrexham, around the halfway mark, like I said in the first half, started to create a few more chances. Pearson, frankly, was Wrexham's best creative player in the first half, constantly looking for diagonals down the left-hand side for Harris and Jennings. One good ball down the left-hand side by Pearson, picked out Hooper, who was one-on-one with the keeper, but it was a difficult take for him. His touch took him a bit wide, and the shooting opportunity was gone. Then a nice breakaway by Wrexham. First Young, then Grant, splitting Barrow open with really accurate passes. A 2-on-2 breakaway. Harris, I think, picked the wrong option, raking down the left-hand side, decided to shoot himself, cut in, and had a wild shot, which took a slight deflection, but still would have gone out for a throw-in if a defender hadn't intervened. Then Wrexham had a penalty shout. Pearson attacking the ball, off the ball with Taylor. He and Taylor had a number of altercations in the penalty area. Referee wasn't interested, before Carrington did really well on the left-hand side after a good pass by Young, switching it from right to left to right. Carrington pulled the ball back beautifully. Glorious chance for Hooper, unmarked, 10 yards out, and he scuffed it horribly wide of the left post. Wrexham finished a half poorly, and Barrow started to carve out some really good chances. The first one should have been a goal. A Wrexham corner, Summerfield swept it into the near post. It was cleared. Redmond on the edge of the area, I'm afraid, firstly failed to beat Brough or win the ball back from Brough, and then failed to foul him as he took a swing at him and missed him. As a result, Brough came surging forwards, a 4-on-2 break. He slotted the ball in nicely, and Angus again was one-on-one with Dibble. Dibble did brilliantly, came quickly off his line, spread himself, blocked it, and the opportunity was gone. But a few minutes later, another chance, another controversial one. Young jumping in the air. Rooney seemed to make a back for him and fouled him. Ref didn't give it. Rooney turned and made a good run and fed the ball through to put Kay one-on-one. Either he hideously scuffed a great chance, or, this is my suspicion, Carrington, coming back from the wrong side, made an absolutely fantastic intervention, did enough to put him off. The ball anyway span to Quigley, and he had no excuse. 6 yards out, totally mishit it. Rooney, the ex-Wrexham man, was influential in passages. Quigley was pretty much anonymous in all honesty and was subbed fairly early in the second half. Wrexham did have one last chance in the first half to pull something back. A corner was half cleared and Summerfield ripped a tremendous ball into the far post. Hooper, 6 yards out, got goal side of his man, didn't make a great contact with the door and put it wide of the right post. So half-time Wrexham were behind and we were a little bit worried. I'm a bit worried as well, I've got to be honest. This new format's great. But you two should go off for a cup of tea for 5 minutes because I feel terrible. You're just having to sit there and look polite. Remember, everyone, you can fire in questions to us as well. So while I'm waffling on, any questions that come to mind, we'll be able to answer in a moment. Giving you a bit of chance to tune in and throw this question at us. Anyway, second half, very different. Brilliant performance by Wrexham, who really got on top of things. Hooper, who played well in the first half but didn't finish well, managed to add a goal, and it came in the 48th minute. It was good work initially by Summerfield with a free kick on the right hand side, swept it into the far post. It was nodded back. We weren't sure if it was Harris who got the header back across the face of goal, but Hooper was there with a close range header, planted it in. Keeper lunged after it, got a hand onto it, pushed it into the net. I think he was over the line already. Then he went flying into the net and took the net support down, and there was a bit of a stoppage, although not long enough to justify the 6 minutes that the referee bafflingly added on at the end of the match. Anyway, Wrexham continued to push on and create chances. Neat ball by Young, but Redmond one-on-one with the keeper, and his poor touch meant he was in no position to get a shot off, but he laid it off, and Harris, taking over, cutting in from the left on the edge of the D, ripped a tremendous strike which was going under the bar. Really good tip over by Dixon to put it behind for the corner. Then Summerfield had the chance from a free kick 25 yards out. He went for the top right corner, struck it well, put it probably about a foot too far to the right, before in the 63rd minute Wrexham got the goal that they deserved. Hooper did tremendously well. Ball played down the left hand side. He just wants to be engaging centre backs and fighting with them because he's quick and he's strong, and he just barged into Greenwich, bullied him, held him off, and then span and stood a beautiful ball up to the far post, and there was Grant at close range, as Lucy said in commentary, virtually from the same spot that Hooper headed the ball in, heading the ball home. Grant, it should be said as well, in the opening couple of minutes of that half, I think really set the tone for Wrexham as well. He battled away, he caused problems, he won a corner, he ripped a couple of good balls in and got the goal. So credit to both those players for upping their game and taking the game to Barrow. And Wrexham continued to push on. Summerfield sweeping in a corner, Lawler 6 yards out attacking it. It just came too high for him and he couldn't put it on target, but he headed it back from whence it came, and Jennings, unmarked, 6 yards out at a clear sight of goal and should really have scored. He didn't expect it though, to be fair, and he planted it about a foot over the bar. And Wrexham continuing to push on. Another opportunity, Summerfield sweeping in a free kick, Grant 15 yards out, doing well to make a powerful contact on it but couldn't get on top of it, and it went just over the bar. Then a breakaway from the corner, and again Grant having a real moment. Barrow swept in the corner, it was cleared, and well, it was terribly unlucky. Grant lunging himself at it, and I love James described it in commentary as a karate kick pass, a karate kid pass, sorry. He leapt up and just about managed to make contact and help it on. Harris just beaten to it by the keeper as he raced into the Barrow half. Barrow made changes. There was a slight spell of confusion when it looked like they'd switched to three at the back, then hadn't, and there seemed to be a debate amongst the midfielders about whether they'd gone to 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, and they did create a couple of opportunities. A corner partially cleared Redmond then, rather disappointingly, failed to challenge Taylor, and the ball fell into the box where Hurd was completely on his own 6 yards out, and for some reason squared it rather than have a go at goal. But that was out of context. Wrexham were dominating matters and looking pretty comfortable despite only being one up. Paul Rutherford came on at first on the tip of the behind the striker. He's playing the tip of the diamond for Dean Keats, didn't he? And his energy was good, not just in terms of good movement and linkage with players, but also because he was hassling the Barrow players so much. And Wrexham continued to look dangerous. Young was fouled but carried on while he was on the floor and squeezed a good ball to Hooper. He did really well to play a through ball, and Harris is one-on-one but shanked it horribly miles over the bar. Then an opportunity for Hooper after Taylor had lost the ball sloppily in his own half. Hooper bursting forwards, played in Rutherford. Rutherford rolled it back to Hooper. He probably again should have scored, in all honesty, but his touch wasn't great, and as a result the shot was blocked by the keeper, who was off his line quickly. Rutherford scored a rebound but was clearly offside. Then Barrow coming back at the other end, the best move of the match by them, to be honest with you. As a lovely back heel by Barry, first time, put Dixon in space left hand on the right hand side. He cut in into his left foot, hit a tremendous curver. The keeper Dibble was beaten, but it went just agonisingly wide of the left post. And then it was Wrexham pushing on again. Young with a 20-yarder which wobbled in the air. Dixon got down low to his right and had to parry it. Grant with a comedy effort, which he actually got booked for. A handball given against him. I think it was inadvertent, but he hoofed it away as he fell over from his own half, and it hit the bar. Got to put that in the highlights. And he got a booking, I think, for kicking it away rather than the handball, which would have been harsh. And then those 6 added minutes, Wrexham were in control. By this point, Leighton McIntosh and Jason Oswell had come on as time-wasting substitutions, but they combined nicely in the last minute of the added time. Good work by Oswell on the right-hand side. He squared it, and McIntosh, edge of the area, really went for power, slammed it, looking for the top right corner, put it just off target, and the whistle went. And the celebrations began, the bare-chested celebrations from a bunch of fans behind the goal. That was quite good fun. And that was a satisfactory start to the season, I reckon, wasn't it?
Oh, that's 3 points. That's what we need to start with, isn't it? So, against what's been a bogey team certainly over the past few years, a team that's come here and got results last season. They played us off the park, for argument's sake. I think there's no way around that. And previously we've had sort of lucky draws where we haven't dominated or they've beaten us. So it's a bogey team out of the way. It's 3 points, and it's the positive start to the season we needed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got on the front foot in the second half, didn't we, really, Lucy? It was... The first half was a little bit moribund, but the second half we really cranked it up a number of levels.
Yeah, we did, and I think we said in the second half there the half-time talk definitely made a big difference, and Wrexham came out a completely different team to the first half, and in particular Grant and Redmond, they were in the game more, and it just showed in the first 5 or 10 minutes the difference that they made. And I think you touched on it before, Mark. In the first player, our only creative player was Pearson. Second half, he didn't really have the ball at his feet, which just shows that, like you said, all the other players were then actively involved in their roles, which they should have been doing. But it's a combination of things. First match of the season, could be nerves, could be a lot of things. But I think the second half we could have scored a few more, definitely. Hooper could have had a hat trick, couldn't he, really? Yeah. And a few games in, and once he started scoring, you'd hope that he'd have confidence, and he would score more of those chances.
Well, let's think about Hooper for a moment here, because remember, you can send your questions in and get in touch with us, and there's a few decent questions already coming in. And Lee B says, do you think Hooper looks like the 20-plus striker that we've been looking for? He certainly looked tasty today, didn't he?
Yeah, I
think so. Yeah,
I think we described him a bit of someone with threat at the front of the strike force for a change. Bevan did well last year in terms of winning possession, battling against centre half, but didn't have perhaps the size. He probably won more than he should do for the size he was. But Hooper seems to have that strength. A couple of times he beat big National League centre halves and just held them off. Started from behind, got a knock, still managed to get there, hold the ball off. The second goal is a prime example of a striker that holds the ball and then actually does something with it. He looked up, he got the ball to the area that was needed, and we got the equaliser. He just got no fear in attacking. He showed that in his goal. He probably could have had 3 or 4, had clear shots, clear chances to perhaps make it a bit more comfortable. Certainly in the second half. First half I thought was an even battle, but one goal in, one game in, one goal. I think he can be that man. I mean, let's not shout too loudly about it, but I think what's important is there looks like there's goals from the team. I think goals from the players. I think Harris looks like he'll contribute. I think Grant looks keen, and obviously he's off the mark already. So, and then the two substitutions, Oswell and McIntosh, were only on for a few minutes. They both look like they're wanting to get involved and get on the score sheet themselves.
A 20-plus scorer is a rarity, it should be said. I just had a quick look at my facts, and this century we've only had 4 players who scored 20 goals in a season. Andy Morrell, obviously, 2002-03, Juan Ugarte in 2004-05, Louis Moult, 14-15, I beg your pardon, and Jake Spate, 11-12, and 2 of those didn't get 20 in the league either, only in all competitions.
But you look at that, 2003, what happened there? Promotion. 2004, that was was it not the LDV trophy season?
Yeah, but we also got relegated.
Yeah, true. I suppose on that argument. But generally we've had decent seasons. I mean,
Spates, it was the 98 point season.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So you have to have that striker, and perhaps why we haven't done as well is because we haven't been able to find that 20-goal striker.
Absolutely.
And we've never really had an out-and-out striker with pace. I think that's what we've missed as well. Like you were saying, Bevan was holding the ball up well, but he would never take any players on. He wouldn't be quick enough with the ball over the top, and so I definitely think that that Hooper can score
on top
20
of that,
plus.
I think Hooper's the type of player that can also create his own goals. We haven't had a striker that can create his own chances for a long time.
Yeah.
Sam Morris saying 14 goals in 22 games for Bromley by Hooper is very good. And considering we have technical players like Summerfield and Redmond supplying balls for him, I can see him getting a lot of goals. My one, I'm going to say something and disagree with myself. My one worry would be he missed chances. He missed 3 good chances, 2 very easy chances, let's be honest. But I don't feel too worried about that because he's getting in those positions, and like you said, Lucy, it's first day of the season. Get the rhythm going, get the confidence going.
Lucy also said, that there is a reason why some of the players are at this level. They're not as consistent. The consistency is the key, isn't it? That's how you play higher up. I think Hooper's obviously played League One and looks like very much like a league player to me. But he did miss a couple of chances.
But you said as well, James, that we haven't had a striker in a long time who'll create something out of nothing. The second goal, he was second to that ball and he got in front of the defender, did really well, and ball into ground and we scored. That really was out of nothing.
Yeah.
I 7 vo skill I, and I thought I had trouble saying Shichapaniak. Has a couple of interesting points. Firstly, just on Hooper, saying he travelled offside a lot, which is true, but I think you sort of want that with a pacey striker. He's trying to run in behind, turn defenders and stretch the game. So
only the first half, though, as well, and that was because, to answer his other question about do you think Pearson bypassed the midfield too much? Well, yeah, he did in the first half because Pearson there weren't any options for him, so his option was hit the ball long. So yeah, Hooper was offside quite a bit. In the second half, I don't think he was because Pearson wasn't doing that in the second half, but that was due to the changes. That midfield trio came in much closer together and gave options from the back as well. So,
yeah, exactly. I said in the commentary that Pearson, it tells you a lot about Pearson. In the first half, when it wasn't working, he was the one stepping up to the plate, and he was actually our most creative player probably in terms of ambition with his passing.
Yeah.
And then in the second half, he barely did that because he didn't have to, because the players who should be taking that responsibility did take that responsibility. Yeah,
Luke Young was a different player in the second half. He really impressed. He was biting in with the challenges and getting those passes off, and across the whole midfield, Luke Young stood out as a great player in that second half. Is why, not because he was a poorer player in the first half, but he really stepped up in the second half, and you could see us dominating midfield a little bit more.
Now, going back to other comments, we will get round to as many as we possibly can. Tom Evans got the ball rolling. He says, a great win today. Best quotes of the day, Hooper can't head, and Grant's no better than last year. Ha ha, love it. When Wrexham make the red passion moaners look silly. Well, don't want to get onto any politics. We're criticising nobody. We're everybody's friend here, okay? Everybody's friend. But certainly, I mean, I wasn't quite sure what to make of what we would be. I wasn't sure what I was going to see today. And the first half was sort of what I feared I might have seen. It didn't feel like much of a step up. But that second half's given me a great deal more confidence, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. You could see that some of the players had the quality. It was just whether or not were they going to the formation that had been set for them. Were they going to adapt to it really? And just by not being as flat as a front three and Redmond dropping into space a bit more and. That midfield triangle staying a bit closer, it makes such a big difference because it meant Barrow couldn't control through the centre of the park.
Absolutely. Tom Evans asking, do you feel Harris could be a better signing than Tollis? Well, the key first point, James, I know you're going to slightly disagree with me on this, is how good was Tollis, I suspect.
I thought Tollis was a good player. And some people have got more thought he was an essential signing. I think he would have been a handy signing. He's very direct. He had pace, and he obviously had an eye for goal. And in a situation last year where we needed that type of player, he did perform. And I think we tailed off with not the way the loans panned out and not being able to get him for the rest of the season did hurt us in the end. But at the same time, you have to play Tollitt in a certain system, and everything directs you him. And I prefer a system where it's fluid, more fluid, and different players can step up. So I'm sure players can adapt in different situations. But I like Harris. He is direct. He has got pace. His passing and interplay with other players is good. Where he lacks in perhaps where Tollitt gained is Tollitt was an experienced player at a certain level, and he's a young player learning his trade. So yeah, I can see the comparisons between the two. And I think that role needed to be filled, and I think Harris will do a good job of it. Although Tollitt, for me, could run down blind alleys at certain times and leave his full-back exposed, whereas I haven't seen that as much from Harris.
For me,
I was just going to say I think Tollitt's just more of a selfish player. Yeah. As well. He gets the ball. He's he's going to do with it.
A good player.
Good player. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, don't get me wrong. And you're right. We needed that type of player last season, and we were missing that. Whereas he'd probably stand out more, and his weaknesses, I think, would be exposed a bit more this season in the way that they were set up and playing. So, like you said, James, I think it was a good summary then.
Well, I'm a Tollitt loyalist, so
don't get me wrong, he's a good player, and you take him back in your squad, don't you? I mean, definitely, he's skillful.
I mean, Harris, I like the look of Harris, but we've got to remember he's 20.
I'm not expecting the same output level than we got from Tollitt, but I think it's not the be-all and end-all that we didn't get Tollitt back either.
Well, like I say, the questions, is he a better loan signing than Tollitt? So I would say no, probably not, in the sense that I think you would at this stage get more out of Tollitt than you would out of Harris, because we can't expect too much out of Harris. He's a 20-year-old lad. We've seen a lot of players come in on loan, and Harris does fade in and out of games. That's fair enough. And often they fade in and out through a season. You think of when Dean Saunders was bringing in a lot of on-loan players in the Premier League, young lads, people like John Brown, people like Nathan Wolfe, Nathan Fairhurst, Angelos Chaklis, could go on, who would look bright early on but would find the whole campaign wearing them down. I think Harris has got more about him than them actually, but I through the course of the season, he's still learning, he's still developing.
I think I like what you're saying there. I agree. I think when we saw Rakeel Pike the first spell, he was quite raw and not ready for men's football. When he came back the second time, he was, he'd grown a bit. He was used to what was. I think Harris is already at that second stage, Pike stage. He looks comfortable playing senior football and getting involved, and he knows what he's going to get. And I think he hopefully will push on from that, and we'll see him over the season. We yet to see him in a cold, rainy, snowy, artificial pitch and in the middle of winter. But I think the signs are there that he's a good player.
We've got to prepare him for Stoke on a Tuesday night, haven't we? So, as Wayne Phillips live on Wrexham's podcast. Look at that. A bit of quality at last. We can't match your rates, I'm afraid, Wayne. You'll have to move along. So, other interesting questions coming in. Tom Evans saying, where was the new right back? Well, I mean, I guess if you're playing 4 at the back, I think Carrington's earned the right to be right back. I think it's a tough one, isn't it? Because we don't know in training if he's picked up a knock as well, so that may have limited him from today's appearance. But I think Carrington, he's your vice captain. He's your longest serving squad member. He's closing in on those 200 appearances for the club. League
appearances for the club.
I'm a pedant. What can I say?
Well filtered. Yeah, I don't do stats as well as you, Mark, but I feed off your information.
Yeah, you're not as sad as me, are you?
But he's Mr. Dependable at right back. I think Jazzy is seen more as the wing back system. He's more of your modern fullback that's more attacking, and I think Brian perhaps was a bit nervous about what Barrow potentially could do to us, having seen them in the last few games of last season, what they did to us. So I think he was going to go with his more consistent back four that sort of he can depend on. And that's not that Jazzy's not dependable or Chambers isn't, but I think it was that back four's worked together a long time and knows what each other's about.
I also think that, as I understand it, Barrow played quite a bit at the end of the pre-season with the three at the back. And maybe we thought, well, in that case, we'll play the four and have three strikers on there, three centre-backs. So that may have also been part of it. I just think with the flat-back four...
Both clubs called each other's bluffs.
Yeah, I think so. I think we both, exactly right. I quite like the look of Barn and Bob, actually. I think he looks decent. But I feel Carrington's the first choice right back when we play four at the back. And then when it comes to who's on the bench... I guess you want flexibility in players like Rutherford who can fill a few different roles, or McIntosh.
Carrington can be the Marmite player, isn't he, for some fans? And I think he gets unfair criticism at times because I think he's a solid player. That he's one of those players, because he can play in multiple positions, he sometimes gets unfair criticism for when he gets rotated around different positions. But as a right back, he's solid. And I think what I like from Brian is you've got to show loyalty to your players as well, because squad harmony is important. Yes, there will be some players that come straight into your starting lineup because you've signed them as your out-and-out striker or your out-and-out winger, and there aren't other people perhaps in the squad that are retained for that squad. But it's a bit like the midfield today. I liked Summerfield and Young in there. Keelwright obviously coming back from injury. That was consistent with last year. It's consistent with how they performed in pre-season. Carrington hasn't let him down in pre-season. As much as Barnum Bubbs played well, he hasn't had as many minutes in pre-season because of the way he was on trial and then coming in late as a permanent signing. So I think it's a bit like Dibble in goal. Rob Langton was, made himself the undisputed number one last year. Dibble, because of injury, has performed really well coming through the season. And I'd be disappointed if Rob Langton was suddenly fit straight away and you didn't have some loyalty to the players, because they've got to earn their spots as well. And that's not to say that Rob Langton won't get his number one spot, but I think he probably will as he gets fit. But I think Dibble has stepped up and done really well. Same as Carrington. I think they deserve their place in the team on merit.
You got to earn your spots, and as a teenager I always did that by eating a lot of greasy food. Different matter altogether. Anyway, it's 20 to 6. Haven't you people got homes to go to? Oh yeah, they're all at home, aren't they? No, they're not. It's modern technology. Couple of quick points here. I think we can deal with this one quickly. Tom Evans, any news on Mike Fondop? Is he going? Is he staying? Don't think there's any news on him, really, is there? So we can't enlighten you on that, I'm afraid. Also, nice to see Sam Morris is saying he's coming over from Ireland to watch the Reds play away at Notts County. So excellent. That should be an interesting occasion, shouldn't it? And a couple more, and then we'll hear your man of the match call, Lucy, which we've basically trailed for about 40 minutes now, haven't we? Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I'm saying your name right or not. I7vo Skill I says, do you think we could get caught out by set pieces this season? They scored from one and had a free header in the second half. Well, Lucy, this was an issue that vexed you a bit, didn't it, during the match?
Yeah, I don't think we will, because I think after today they're going to spend a lot of time on it. I think our marking today was really poor from set pieces, which is surprising, really, because of how solid we were at the back last season, and it wasn't something that we came away last season going, we marked poorly from set pieces. I don't know if it's confusion with new players in. I don't know if we've changed the way we're marking, but I think after today, if they don't go away and work on that, I'd be amazed. So so I don't think so, because I think, like I said, today it was very clear that was kind of their threat, really. An odd other chance in the first half, but I don't think so. But we did get caught out today. But
can I just disagree a little bit on that one? I think I agree completely with what Lucy's saying about organisation. I don't think we were at the races organised for set pieces, whether that was the instructions to pick up which player or which zone they were in, or however they've done it. But I don't think we've been super strong at corners and defending free kicks that are whipped in from wide for a couple of seasons. Even with our defensive record, I think that was always our Achilles heel. We don't win as many headers as perhaps, or dominate the box as much as we should do. Whereas dealing in open play, we're fantastic. I do get a little bit nervous at corners and things, because I think that's where we do perhaps look. I'm not saying we're open, because we're not at all. We've got a
We
great
are today,
defense.
though.
We've got a great defense, but I do think there's a bit of vulnerability there.
I got a bit of a sense of deja vu. I was remembering the Barrow game from 2 seasons ago. We were commentating, definitely, because there's a really good picture of us going nuts because we videoed ourselves commentating. It was a 3-3 draw, and I really am sure I remember you saying how even though we're a good defensive side, we're not great from set pieces. We're letting at least 2 from set pieces in that match, if not all 3. And I'm not, there's different personnel there now. I remember Wedgbury was really upset with himself after that match because he was on the post and he ducked out of a clearance on the line and went in. But yeah, just because you're a good defensive side does not necessarily mean you're a good set piece defending side. Although I'm a coward enough to say I want to see those goals again before I actually judge if that was something breaking down or it was just good movement.
It might just be one of those things that gets in your head and you think you always fear corners and that might be perception. But I think
I'd be amazed though after today if they don't work on it. Because of the first goal in particular, the marking was really poor.
I think you could see Sean challenging the other players and asking questions of who's supposed to be picking up, particularly in that second half when the ball dropped to a couple of Barrow players in the box, and luckily they didn't do anything with it. Without
having seen the footage, I'll play our devil's advocate and stick up for the defenders and say we saw an awful lot of blocking off in penalty areas and incidents, and I think part of the reason why Pearson does what he does, and he did it early in this match where he falls over before the free kick's taken and then makes a point to the ref as he's trying to draw attention to the idea of people blocking off. I think Barrow were doing that quite a bit, so it might be people got blocked off for the first one.
Yeah, could be.
And the second one, I'm not, that was referred to in the question, I'm not too worried about that from a set piece point of view, because you can, I'm afraid, point very clearly where the issue was, which was we dealt with the set piece. The set piece came in and we cleared it, and then it was Taylor, who admittedly is good in the air, against Redmond, but Redmond actually stepped off and let him have a free header back into the goal mouth, and then naturally your marking slips a bit when you've cleared a set piece, because you then your mindset's going from marking my player or protecting my zone to pushing up and clearing that penalty area, and then that's when gaps often do appear, and that's basically what happened. Redmond should have challenged for Taylor, and then he creates a loose ball. Okay, Taylor will beat him in the air, he will, but if he challenges him, it's not a free header and it creates a loosish ball on the edge of the box. The players are stepping up and someone's there to attack it and get rid of it, and I think that was the issue with that one, I think, really. So I don't know. One final double-header question, and then we hear the man of the match, because we've been going for like 35 minutes. We've nearly done an extra half here.
Congratulations, you're this far into the podcast.
Yes, well done. Carl Austin saying, do you think we can be a more physical threat this year? A lot of players over 6 foot. Is this one aspect we've definitely lacked over the years? And a similar, Nath Jones, sorry. Is there enough height within the squad now to deal with the more physical teams in the league?
Yes.
I'm going to say yes. I think we're a bigger team. There's Chambers, Barton to add into that, who are also Keel Wright. They're all 6-footers. I might even be missing another couple like that. I think we're a bigger team. I think we've got the right balance. That you need a bit of nastiness. I think we've got a little bit of nastiness in the squad. You need a bit of pace. We've got pace. I think you need size, and you need to be able to play football in the National League. You need to be able to accommodate all of those. Too often when we've been like 98 point season, the midfield was, as great as it was, they were all tiny. Or we've missed an element. We've been solid at the back, solid in midfield, and not had the threat with the pace up front, or whatever variation of it is. And I think we've got a nice combination within the squad to adapt to the various teams we'll find and different styles of play.
All right, man of the match, please.
To be honest, the second half, there's quite a few notable mentions. I think Grant definitely got much better, particularly the first half of that second half. Dibble made some good saves. I think, for me, Luke Young and Summerfield, I think had a pretty good match, actually. Summerfield. Young, as James said, got better in that second half. He didn't stop running. But for me, the difference was Hooper. It was his goal. And then his assist, and that we've won the match 2-1, and I think it just shows his quality and how he can change the game. And as we've said, he did miss a couple of chances, but we've still come away winning 2-1, and the second goal in particular was out of nothing as well. So for me, Hooper's the man of the match.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Yep. Hooper man it is. I'm not going to get that to catch on, am I?
Get that onion ring, Griff, going.
A nice one. Right, so I reckon we should finish. I think we've managed to get through it okay. There's going to be an awkward sort of spell at the end where I work out how exactly you finished the live stream, and then you can just watch me staring at the screen and looking confused. But, yep, we're pretty satisfied with that, aren't we? Opening day win and a second half performance which gives hope of more to come.
Yep.
With the final score of Wrexham 2, Barrow 1, we have been Lucy Scott, James Harrison and Mark Griffiths. Good night all. Right, let's see how you finish this. That guy, do you reckon? Yeah.